In this video we'll be looking at the high-resolution 3D seabed charts produced by Seafield Navigation for the Turbowin software family, and we'll be looking at the folios to cover the Buchan seabed area of northeast Scotland and the Moray seabed area in the Moray Firth. So let's switch off the coloured areas. We'll bring in some background information. From the oil industry and energy industries. So as we start to zoom in, we'll start off around Cruden Bay, just south of Peterhead. You can see as we zoom in, the 3D comes out to meet you. These sand waves start to appear. Again, if you want to fish these for static gear for crab, the implications are very clear for your working practices. You can shoot a fleet of creels down the north side, down the south side. You can make your adjustments for the tidal streams. So I'll switch those back off because I really want to focus on the 3D charts here. So we'll move north along the coast. You can see these ridges coming out in the seabed. Classical sand waves with depressions behind them, depending on the direction of current. And we can see the sand waves making their unusual random patterns. We're off Buchan Ness here somewhere. So we've got a feature here just on the eastern edge of our image. So if we go out there and take a look, so very clearly a very hard objects in the seabed. It's prominent here, and scour marks prominent with the wash of the tide and the currents. The red line here is the 6-mile fishing limit, the green line is a 12-mile limit. These red lines here are pipelines coming into just south of Cruden Bay. Further north, these pipelines come into St Fergus, the gas terminal here. So we'll take a look at these pipeline areas here and amongst the pipelines. Pipelines are normally buried on the seabed. And what we can start to see here is the work that the energy companies have done to bury their pipelines on the seabed. So underneath the The pipelines, or on top of the pipelines, are the rock dumps that they've put on to protect the pipelines from weather and fishing boats. We'll take a look at this pipeline down here. Seems to have a very clear rock dump on it. Yep, there we are. The red lines are taken from as surveyed data, as laid during the pipeline construction process. So we can see these very clear rock dumps on top of the pipeline. And further north from the image we can see the rock dumps standing up again. We've switched off all the detail on the navigation charts so you can see the prominence of the high resolution data that we're overlaying on this. So again, we're up past Rattray Head. We've got St Combs, Inverallochie here, Fraserburgh here. Take a look out here. It's a very interesting set of seabeds out here. So we can start to see general detail appearing, but as we zoom in, we'll see much more detail starting to appear. So we're down at roughly 1 mile to the screen, 1 to 7,500 scale. These these ridge formations on the seabed are starting to jump out at us, and as we scroll out the 3D image, we can see them creeping away into the northwest here. Sorry, northeast. So we'll just follow this ridge out, see where it takes us. What I'll do is put a colour wash on top of the 2D screen so that the ridge becomes a little bit more prominent on the navigation chart. So you can see the ridge continues out. We've got another ridge to the south here. Another ridge to the south here. These are not very high ridges. This one to the south is at 45 fathoms. .4.5 fathoms, just a 1 fathom rise off the seabed. But that's enough to give you a good working area for static gear. And again, these ridges are making a family. You've got at least 2, sometimes 3 ridge features running along a spur. Again, putting your gear in here will yield you good fishing. But these features are not on the navigation charts. Keep on zooming, moving further out into the northeast. You can see the change in the style of the ridges start to diverge. This one here, 39 fathoms deep, but the surrounding seabed is at 41 fathoms. So again, good working areas for seabed fishing for static gear. And again, the ridges keep on going out. So we'll come away from here just now and we'll go further up round the corner into the Moray Firth area. We're just out of the 12-mile limit here now. These charts carry on out to about 30 miles off the coast. You can see as we go further east. We start to meet different seabed types. More ridges further out. We change direction because of the change in seabed type and currents. The red pipelines here going into St Fergus. We'll carry on around the coast. We've got off the Moray Firth coast, we've got a bunch of banks. Pennon shoals, Rosati shoals. Take a look at some of these. So we've got shallow areas here, 35 fathoms, falling away to 70, 80 fathoms in the trenches here, and going deeper as we come into the area called Sleepy Valley. And again, I think this is the Rosati shoal here, or the Pennon shoal. We'll just give you a quick look at a wreck that is probably about here somewhere. Yeah, here we are. It's not on the navigation charts from the Admiralty or from CMAP. There we are. It stands out. The contours are at about 1 meter here, so we're looking at that's at 68 fathoms, falling down at 120 fathoms. On one side, but 68 fathoms falling to 80 fathoms on the other side, so it's sitting in the side of a valley. If we switch on the colour wash on top of the 2D image, at this point you can see the very strong structure that the valley has. And again, the wreck jumps up very, very clearly when you do this. So we'll continue going up the coast, up towards, up past Buchan. Some features on the seabed here. So again, shoals with deep valleys next to them. Up past the River Spey, we'll keep on going and take a look at Burghead here. We've got Quite strong seabed features here of Burghead. And again, this is big prawn fishing ground, big squid fishing ground. So with these features you can trawl into places that you wouldn't normally be thinking of going. Again, deep channels here. Water, there's 30 fathoms of water here, but only 19 fathoms on the shallow banks to the north. We'll look round the corner into the bays of Brora, Golspie. You can see these seabed features starting to appear. Some are indicated by the blue dots in the Admiralty chart, but most are not. So this is what we're looking at here. We've got two dominant mounds with smaller ridges in between. Quite a sandy, gravelly bottom. Go further north, and we've got these ridges start to appear. Scale wise, we're looking at 1 to 10,000 scale, roughly 1 to 1.5 miles to the screen, top to bottom. These ridges here are an extension of this spur coming out from the land. Just switch on some background chart detail here. Okay, we're at Brora Point. So these spurs are a continuation of the headlands coming out in Brora. Again, we have a shallow area here. Which looks like potentially a very old wreck of some kind, very low feature, very hard. It's got a scour on one side and a ridge on the other. Typical of a worn down wreck. Continuing north, we come to the wind farms, Moray East, etc. Up into Sinclair Bay of Wick. And again, the sand wave features again with the typical ridges and valleys. Somewhat unusual shape. We're coming into the influence of the tidal streams coming out of the Pentland Firth here. If we take a look at this, the skerries here. Again, we can see the dominant features that the navigation charts have produced or indicate, but again, if we take a look further out, we can see the sand waves creeping out away from the dominant ridges. And again, the 12-mile limit here in green, just marked up to become more dominant. So we can see the ridges running in a easterly direction here, isolated rises on the seabed. Again, I know the sea net boats like to work these small outcrops. So here we can see the very strong crescent shapes that are being produced by the tidal streams punching through the Pentland Firth. Okay, I'll stop there, but the list of outlets where these charts and software can be sourced will be at the end of the video.